Hey folks, this is Kalani. There are a whole bunch of changes to endgame content in Season 2 of The War Within, but solo content players saw some of the best changes which will let them gear up easier and more reliably. You can get up to item level 660 all by yourself with no group content needed, and there are even a few ways to get even further than that. So let's go over how you can gear up as a solo content player in Season 2 of The War Within. Now before we jump in, be sure to hit up that like button and subscribe so you never miss another video. We're going to break this down step by step to make sure no one gets lost along the way, so everyone, even if you are a freshly dinged level 80, can work up to item level 660 and beyond. Now our first goal is going to be to get around item level 630. That will give us a great base to jump into the more rewarding content. One of the easiest sources of early gear are the various weekly activities and events that reward you with a cache. The most important weekly quest you want to get done every week is the Pinnacle Cache quest in Dornegal. This is the one with the blue spiky icon. It can be the World Soul weekly quest, the Titan Archive weekly quest, or the Delve weekly quest. It's going to change depending on the week, so just look for the weekly quest that rewards you with a Pinnacle Cache. The Pinnacle Cache has additional rewards tied to it, like the Fractured Spark of Fortunes, so you'll want to make sure you get this one done every week. And then we can also do the Theatre Troupe event in Dornegal, the Awakening the Machine event in the Ringing Deeps, the Spreading the Light event in Hallowfall. You can complete special assignment world quests, and there's also a weekly quest in Undermine called Urge to Surge. All of these reward a cache with more or less the same rewards. The key here is that the first 2 caches you open per week will contain a piece of item level 623 veteran gear, so you'll want to get your Pinnacle cache and one other cache as a bare minimum. That will start providing you with some decent gear to boost your item level. This gear can also be upgraded up to 645 by using your crests and valor stones, so there's some good upgrade potential here as well. But more importantly, the first 4 caches you open in a week will also contain a restored coffer key. These keys are required to get any of the good rewards from the Delve system, which will make up a huge part of this gearing process. So you want to get 4 weekly caches per week minimum if you want to jump into Delves as well. It doesn't really matter which weekly activities you do besides the Pinnacle Cache quest. The Urge to Surge quest would be a good option if you want the Undermine Cartel reputation, but apart from that I would recommend you just do the events which are fastest or most efficient for you. I usually do the Theatre Troupe because it's nice and easy, and Spreading the Light in Hallowfall takes no time at all if you already have some of the required items. Now before we continue, today's video is sponsored by Invincible Guarding the Globe. The Invincible mobile game is an idle squad RPG that lets you experience an original storyline never before seen in the comics or TV series. Collect and upgrade your favourite heroes and villains from the franchise and send them out into action-packed and brutal, bloody battles to save the world. Each hero has unique abilities and roles, some provide support while others smash your enemies to pieces, so you need to mix and match them to create well-balanced teams to secure victory. There are also multiplayer rankings where you can pit your teams against other players so you can prove that you're the best squad manager around. There are also constant updates to look forward to with new content to keep things fresh and interesting, like Cecil's Nightmare game mode and the live events introduced for Season 3. The update also introduced new in-game heroes like Kid Omni-Man and Multi-Paul for you to add to your ever-growing roster of heroes and villains. So download Invincible Guarding the Globe today, and if you use the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen, you'll get the Kid Omni-Man and Omni-Man heroes to kickstart your collection. Now getting back to the video, completing any events past the first 4 will still reward you with Valor Stones and Carved Crests, as well as reputation for the associated factions, so it just depends on what you want to prioritize and how much time you have to play. Now 2 pieces of gear per week is nice and all, but that's not really going to put a dent in our overall gearing progression, so let's start filling in some of those gaps. World quests can offer you some quick and easy gear options. You can get up to item level 616 gear from what I've seen, so it may be worth taking a peek at what world quests are available to see if there are any quick upgrades that you can pick up. I would also say it's worth checking the auction house, especially if you have just 1 or 2 items that you just can't seem to replace. You can buy item level 603 gear of almost every slot, it's super cheap and you get to pick which stats you want, and all of this gear can be upgraded up to item level 619, and it doesn't even use any crests, just valor stones, so if you have a bit of gold to spare and you want to skip over a good chunk of the early gearing stages, you can just buy stuff from the auction house and upgrade it super duper quickly. You should also be killing the world boss every week. You are guaranteed to get a piece of item level 642 gear on your first kill of the world boss each week for your account, but the catch is that you can get anything on the world boss's loot table, so you might not get a piece of gear your character can use. All of it is warbound though, so you can trade it amongst your characters freely, which is great if you play multiple characters, but not so much if you don't. Still, you've got about a 25% chance of getting something useful for your character, which is probably way better odds when compared to previous seasons anyway. And then you can also hop into heroic dungeons if that's content that you're interested in. It's not strictly solo content, but it is very easy to queue into. You don't have to make any groups yourself, the dungeons are easy to clear through, and you'll get some item level 619 gear for your trouble. That gear can then also be upgraded up to 632, and you'll be gathering up weathered undermine crests for other upgrades, so heroic dungeons can serve as a great stepping stone here. Now, to upgrade any of this gear, you're going to need to get your hands on some weathered and carved crests. You can get weathered crests from repeatable events like Theatre Troop and Urge to Surge. You'll be earning little boxes of loot as the progress bars fill up, and the better everyone does in the event, the more boxes you will get. Each box will contain weathered crests, so if you're around when either of these events are starting, taking part in them can be a good way to earn weathered crests. They also drop from tier 1 to 5 delves, so as you jump into the delve system you'll start to get some more crests as well. You can run lower tiers of delves as often as you want for the crest rewards, though you won't see many gear drops for the most part. You can also get weathered crests from completing heroic dungeons, as we just mentioned, or from killing LFR bosses, so if you're jumping into either of those queuable content options, you can get weathered crests as well as a chance at some gear upgrades. Now, weathered crests will let you upgrade your gear to 632, so to go beyond that we're going to need to get some carved crests. Now, carved crests are actually kind of easier to pick up, weirdly. You'll be getting quite a lot from the weekly events and caches that we mentioned earlier, so if you haven't completed all of the weekly stuff, there are more carved crests to be earned there just by getting more caches. You'll also get a handful from killing the world boss, which you should be doing every week anyway. To get more carved crests on top of those, you can run tier 6 and 7 delves, or try your luck with Mythic 0 dungeons if you really want to, but delves should be a perfectly fine repeatable source if you need more carved crests to upgrade your gear. Using your carved crests, you can upgrade any veteran gear that you get up to item level 645, which will give you a very solid foundation for pretty much everything else you could want to do at endgame. Now, there is another way to skip over most of this initial gearing up section. You can get up to item level 629 gear very easily and quickly by using crafting. You don't really need a lot of progression in a profession to craft this early stuff either, so you should be able to craft it all by yourself with a little bit of time invested into the appropriate profession. To get item level 629 crafted gear, all you really need are weathered crests. Pop by the crest vendor in Dornagal and you can trade 30 crests in for an enchanted weathered crest. You can then add this enchanted crest into your recipe when you go to craft a piece of gear, and it will upgrade the item level to 629 depending on the rank of the item. The cool thing about crafted gear is that you can use a missive to choose the stats on your item as well, and a piece of 629 crafted gear with your best stats can often be better than a higher item level piece of gear with worse stats, so this can be a great way to start your gearing adventures, especially for your alts. It's also worth noting that putting these items up as a public order with a missive will usually result in a rank 5 result due to the low requirements, so if you don't want to set up the profession yourself, you should be able to post public orders and see rank 5 results more often than not. So if you're struggling to find some upgrades, you can just run low tier delves, collect as many weather crests as you can, and craft the 629 gear to fill in the rest of your gear slots. That should get you to a good enough item level to jump into higher tiers of delves and start working on the larger gear upgrades. Now, there is another type of crafted gear that can go a lot further than item level 629. By using a Spark of Fortunes, you can craft item level 645 gear right away, but it can be upgraded all the way to 675, and yes, that is entirely doable for solo content players this season. The best part is that we're actually already doing everything we need to do to get this stuff crafted. To get your hands on a Spark of Fortunes, you need to combine 2 Fractured Sparks of Fortunes together. Fractured Sparks of Fortunes come from the weekly Pinnacle Cash quest in Dornagal, and this is why we want to prioritize that quest above the others. As long as you are completing that quest, you'll be able to make a Spark of Fortunes every 2 weeks, which means another piece of high item level gear crafted every 2 weeks as well. That can really help fill in some of your gearing gaps and open the door to some massive gear upgrades. To use your Spark of Fortunes, you can plug it into any epic crafting recipe if you have the professions yourself, or just make a crafting order at the crafting order clerks. To get a rank 5 item from a crafting order, you should find someone in trade chat and send a personal order so you can ensure that you're getting the best bang for your buck. Now at this point we can start to look into the real gearing progression system for solo content players, delves. Delves offer the best way to gear up if you don't want to jump into harder group focused endgame content. You can do delves all by yourself and Bran will be there to help you out no matter what role or class you are playing. You can very easily and reliably get up to item level 665 gear just by running delves with no weird gimmicks or tricks. The first thing you'll want to do is unlock higher tiers of delves. The rewards from delves are quite limited due to the restored coffer keys from weekly caches and some weekly loot limits as well, so you want to make sure you're using your keys and other limited resources on the highest tiers you can to ensure you're getting the best gear available. Our initial goal here is going to be tier 8 delves. That's where the best gear is going to come from. To unlock a higher tier of delve, you just need to complete the lower tier with lives remaining, so you can't die too many times. Apart from that, it's just a simple case of running enough delves to get to tier 8. When you have tier 8 unlocked, we can start looking at bountiful delves. These have a different icon on your world map. You're looking for the glowing door icon. Every day 4 delves will be bountiful and they're going to rotate around. So find the bountiful delves for today and we can start getting some big gear upgrades. Bountiful delves will have a special chest at the end of the run which requires a restored coffer key to open. The rewards from that chest increase up to tier 8. So that's why we want to focus on tier 8 delves. On a tier 8 bountiful delve, that chest is going to contain an item level 639 piece of champion gear, and then this gear can be upgraded all the way to 658, so you can get really far with just tier 8 bountiful delves and the loot that they reward. Now because we need restored coffer keys to open those chests, we can essentially get 1 piece of 639 gear per restored coffer key we have. So the more keys we get, the faster we can gear up through delves. We can get 4 keys per week from the weekly caches, that's easy and obvious, but we can actually get more keys from combining key fragments together. You need 100 key fragments to create 1 key, and there are 2 main sources of these fragments. World quests will sometimes pop up that reward key fragments, so again it's still worth checking the world quests to see what rewards are available once or twice a week. The other main source of fragments are going to be from World Soul Memory events. You can find these on your map, or you can open the event viewer and it will show you which zone they are currently in, and if you click on them it will show you where in the zone they are, so that's an easy way to keep track of them. To take part in the World Soul Memory, you need Radiant Echoes. These come from the bountiful delves that we're already doing, and you can spend 1 or 5 Radiant Echoes at a time. I usually save up 5 and just spend them all at once to make things faster. When the event starts, you'll just need to kill as much stuff as you can. You have a score at the top. The more you kill, the higher your score, and the higher your score, the more fragments you'll get when it ends. It's really that simple. Whenever you get 100 fragments, turn them into another key, and you can go loot another bountiful delve. Restored coffer keys are also rewarded from renowned tracks, like the new Cartels of Undermined Reputation. You can get a key at renown level 9, so keep an eye on those rewards if you're doing some rep farming on the side. As you complete more delves and progress through the seasonal journey, you will eventually be able to purchase restored coffer keys from the delve vendors as well, so it's always worth checking your seasonal progress and what new rewards are available. Completing delves will also contribute to your weekly vault. The higher the tier of delve you complete, the better your rewards will be. This caps out at tier 8 delves as well, so if you run tier 8 delves, you'll have item level 649 hero gear waiting for you on reset day. That gear can be upgraded up to item level 665, so that's where the best gear from delves is going to come from. You need to run 2 delves for the first reward option, 4 for the second, and then 8 for the third. So you want to run at least 2 tier 8 delves per week to to make sure you get at least one 649 item in your vault, but doing up to 8 delves will give you a few options when reset day rolls around. So if you have the time to do 8 delves, that will help you gear up faster and make sure that your vault will always have one good item in it. Now there is one other way to get a piece of hero gear every single week. While running your delves, there is a chance you will find a Delver's Bounty map from the end of run chests. When used, your next run will have another special chest at the end that can have up to item level 649 gear, and you might have guessed it, this reward also caps out on tier 8 delves. So running tier 8 delves will max out your gear rewards on every front. You should never use a map below tier 8 delves because you will reduce your potential gear reward. Now this Delver's Bounty map still seems to be kind of rare. There is supposed to be bad luck protection for this map, so the more delves you run, the higher the chance for you to see your map drop, but I've seen folks complain they've run a lot of delves and still haven't seen it. So you can keep running delves until your map drops, or you can be a little bit sneaky. There is one other source for the Delver's Bounty map, the Underpin. The Underpin will sometimes randomly invade your delves, so you can either repel him by doing enough damage, or you can die and he will retreat. Either way, he's gonna drop a pile of loot, which can include another piece of 639 gear for you, which is nice, but it will also contain a Delver's Bounty map if you haven't seen a map yet that week. The trick is that you can actually summon the Underpin by using a Wave Scrambler 2000. This can be purchased from the delve vendors for 2000 undercoins, so it's not cheap, but it will guarantee that map drop for the week, so that's something to keep in mind. Now you're only supposed to be able to get one map per week, so if you get one from running delves normally, the Underpin probably won't drop an extra one for you, so as long as you're getting one map per week and doing enough delves to get some weekly rewards in the vault, you can get 2 pieces of 649 gear per week, which can then be upgraded to 665. Now the last piece of this gearing up puzzle are gonna be crests. At tier 8 you'll also start to get runed crests from the end of your delve runs. You're going to need runed crests to fully upgrade your champion gear and to upgrade any hero gear you get from your weekly sources. You'll get more runed crests if you increase your tier of delves, so tier 9 is going to drop more, tier 10 drops even more, and then tier 11 will drop the most runed crests for you. You can get even more crests by killing the Underpin minions in your delves. At tier 11 you'll want to kill 4 packs of Undermin mobs to increase the rank of the Nemesis chest at the end of delves. I know, we've got like 6 different chests to keep track of this time, but the Nemesis chest will reward you with more crests and Valor Stones if you kill more of those special Underpin monster packs. So you want to kill 4 packs to max out the chest, and then you're going to get even more runed crests per run. When you get up to tier 11 delves, you can also start reliably getting gilded crests, the highest tier of crests that are available. If you clear a tier 11 bountiful delve, you will find a gilded chest waiting at the end that contains 7 gilded crests, and you can loot this 3 times per week. So you want to run 3 tier 11 bountiful delves per week to maximize your gilded crest acquisition. Your Delver's Bounty map chest will also contain gilded crests at tier 8, and these will increase as you get up to tier 11, so using a Delver's Bounty map on a tier 11 delve will give you 10 gilded crests, so as soon as you can clear tier 11 delves, you'll be wanting to clear 3 bountiful tier 11 delves per week, and use your map on at least one of those runs to get 31 gilded crests per week total. So at this point you should be getting 2 649 pieces of gear that you can upgrade to 665 and 4 or more pieces of 639 gear that you can upgrade to 658 per week just from the delve system. But if you want to, you can go one step further. That Spark of Fortune's crafted gear that we mentioned earlier can be upgraded using runed and gilded crests. Runed crests will get you up to item level 658 and gilded crests will get you up to item level 675. That is almost the highest item level available in this season, and you can get there as a solo content player. Just save up your runed or gilded crests from your delve runs, pop by the crest vendor in Dornagal, buy the enchanted crest that you want, and use that crest when crafting or recrafting your Spark of Fortune's gear. Boom, easy 675 gear. We can get 31 gilded crests per week from delves. The enchanted crest is going to cost 60, so we can buy one of these every 2 weeks. We're also going to get a new Spark of Fortunes every 2 weeks, so you could craft a new piece of 675 gear every 2 weeks for the rest of the season. You can use this crafted gear to get some big upgrades like weapons, or just for filling in your lowest item level slots. It is an insane item level for solo content players, and it's the first time that it's been this accessible without jumping into group content. And then I think it's always worth checking the current calendar weekly events. The week in which this was recorded is the Mists of Pandaria time walking event, so you can run 5 time walking dungeons and get a box of normal raid gear, which can be up to item level 645, so you can get some huge gear upgrades from a very easy event as well. But that's how you can gear up to item level 660 and beyond in just solo content, so that's it for this video. How do you feel about solo content allowing you to get such high item levels in Season 2, and do you have any questions about how any part of this process works? Leave all your thoughts in the comment section below. A big thank you to all of our supporters over on Patreon and to all of our members here on YouTube. You can see their names floating by on screen. If you're interested in supporting the channel, you can find links in the description, or click the join button just below the video. If you enjoyed the video or found it useful in any way, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always kept up to date. Thanks for watching, folks, good luck and have fun, and as always I will see you next time.